Limited space and lack of equipment killing 1 in 3 babies at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. A familiar story, but how can the country mitigate the situation? We hear from the Pediatric Society of Ghana and seek some answers from the Central Region Health Directorate. And to be held in contempt or not, we find out why the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists have defied a court injunction brought on them by the National Labour Commission. We hear once again from both sides of the matter, that is the association and the NLC. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Remember, we're on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube and on our social media handles. Reach us and interact with us on 054010909. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. One in 3 babies sent to the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital dies. That's a startling statistic from the hospital officials who blame the situation on limited space and lack of critical equipment. Seth Kwame Boateng has been spending some time at the teaching hospital, and like I said, we'll be talking to the Pediatric Society of Ghana. First, let's bring you back that story Seth Kwame Boateng put together.
The problems of the facility start from the very structure in which the unit is.
The NICU was carved out of the pediatric ward. We are using 4 of the side wards that were supposed to be part of the pediatric ward as a NICU. And that's what we are using now. So imagine a side ward that should contain 1 person, now taking about 10 babies in that small room. Just imagine.
Doctors and nurses have to deal with congestion on a daily basis. Dr. Florence Brown is a pediatric specialist and acting head of the pediatric unit at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital.
Bumper to bumper, we are doing 26 babies. Where cots are next to each other, we are doing 26 babies. That's our maximum capacities.
But at times you go a bit
beyond that. As last week, I think we went to 30. Yes. We ended up at 30. We leave some on the radiant. So when you come in, we leave you on the radiant warmer for a while. If there's no space, that means you have to lie on the radiant warmer for more than 24 hours. And then, well, sometimes we leave them under the resuscitators as well.
Between 60 and 100 newborn babies with conditions are admitted here every month. They do not come from only the central region, but the western region and parts of the Ashanti region as well. Officials say the space is not enough for even 15 babies. No space to maneuver by health staff here.
You see, because we are a teaching hospital, the medical students come with the nursing students. So imagine this small space with medical students around, nursing students around, our nurses, our doctors going on rounds in the morning. Just imagine, with the mothers sitting here to breastfeed their babies as well. Just imagine, I took you to the room, you saw how small the room is. So imagine we have about 5 nurses on duty because we share the babies out to them. We do individual nursing care. So if we have about 5 nurses in that room with about 5 medical students, and then our house officers, because we're a teaching hospital, house officers come on rotation, and then our nurses, I've already mentioned the nurses, the doctors, the medical students, the nursing students, and then our specialists. Just imagine, in that small room with our babies around. Is not a good sign.
The situation is already taking a toll on the doctors, and as a result, many babies are being lost here. Dr. Florence Brown is not happy.
It makes me cranky. It makes me tired all the time. Because apart from doing my clinical work, I have to think about ways like appropriate technology, things to help make my work more effective and better with the minimum that I have.
Some of the sick babies here are treated and kept in their cots on the already congested corridors in this small space. That should not be the case, as emphasized by the nursing head at the unit, Efua Atakra.
The same problem, space. We don't have enough space for them, so we put the well babies, who are big babies, getting better. When they are recovering, that's where we put them. But we always have a nurse taking care of them on the corridor. We don't have enough space in the rooms to put them in the rooms, so we put them on the corridor and then the nurse takes care of them there.
The impact of this goes beyond the babies. Their mothers are also affected. With no space to sleep nor rest, these mothers who have just delivered are compelled to sit for hours and offer kangaroo mother care to their preterm babies. Dorcas Arthur is one of such mothers, and though she is a staff in this unit, the treatment is the same.
You can't eat here, you can't lie down here, and it makes the KMC hours very short.
And you have been sitting for how long?
Baby was put in front of me around 12, yes. And it's getting, I think it's 4 now.
15 minutes to 5.
Yeah, and I'm still here.
You're still
because
sitting?
I'm still sitting because I want to stay for long.
But you are laughing, you are enjoying it, right?
I have no option. So I have to enjoy it just like other mothers do. Now I'm in their shoes, so I have to also endure and enjoy it.
A standard neonatal intensive care unit has advanced technology and trained healthcare professionals to give special care to their tiniest patients. Here at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, the NICU can boast of trained healthcare professionals and not advanced technology. Aside from this, some of the life-saving equipment here do not even function.
We don't have enough equipment, we don't have modern equipment, and even the ones we have, most of them don't function well.
Like which ones?
Well, we have an incubator there which is not functioning. So currently here we have 3 incubators. We have 2 at the maintenance, but on ground only 2 are functioning. The middle one is not functioning. Without the incubators, they become cold. We have to warm them. Sometimes you have to put 2 or 3 under the radiant room at the same time. I think you were here some few minutes ago. Someone came for what we call a transcutaneous bilirubin. It's to check for jaundice. Fortunately, this is jaundice month, and if ours is not working, when they bring a baby in and we can't check, that means we have to wait for the lab results to come out. It takes about 24 hours for us to get results. So what are we going to do?
And is it not working?
Yeah, it's not working. Ours is not working.
No wonder then that 1 out of 3 babies who end up here dies.
So 33% in a month. That means out of every 3 babies, 1 baby will die. Yes. So if we admit, let's say 10 babies, then about 3 babies will die. But that's on the high side. Last month, for instance, we have about 16.9%, which it's bad, but it's better than the others that we've had. We are hoping to improve it to single figures, and we are hoping that we get a new NICU and modernized facilities to help us improve our mortality rate.
It is really frustrating for health staff here, especially when they have to look on for innocent souls they could have saved to die.
Whoever is ready should come to our aid. We are really suffering. We want to give the best of the care to our neonates, sick neonates, but we don't have space, we don't have staff, we don't have equipment. So whoever is ready to help us to come to our aid as soon as possible so that we can give the best of care that we want to give.
We manage, but it's frustrating, and I feel helpless, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I think we can do better than we are doing now.
The Cape Coast Teaching Hospital's neonatal unit is in crisis. It may have the right staff, but without the right tools and equipment, there is only so much they can do. This is Seth Kameboatin for Joy News.
In the meantime, Chief Executive Officer for the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Dr. Eric Nyedu, says they completed the design for a neonatal intensive care unit in 2014, and the hospital has been championing a drive to raise funds for the projects for which land has already been earmarked. Dr. Nyedu, however, laments that these efforts have been futile. He's appealing to the public to come to the aid of the hospital.
Soon, I will not be able to tell. But I'd like to take the occasion to plead to any individual, any philanthropist, those that have been able to assist Kwamfanochi and Kolebu to develop such infrastructure, to as soon as possible look at some of our proposals, and then if they are agreeable, help us mitigate this situation. We are doing everything possible under the circumstances. My staff are doing everything possible not to turn away a baby but we deliberately need to build such infrastructure if we want to be serious about dealing with neonatal deaths. And this is why I'm appealing to both the public and the private sector to look at these issues critically. But as a management, we mobilize the resources that are available to contain the situation to such a time that we say, yes, this is what we want and this is what we've gotten.
If you get equipment today, do you have space to keep the equipment in?
Beyond a certain number, we don't have space. Space is the critical thing also is that the pediatric admissions are going up. And it's the pediatric ward that we have cut off to create the special care baby unit. So even what we are doing is also killing our ability to treat pediatric patients. So we have cut off portion of the ward.
Okay.
So if we get equipment today, the only way we can expand the NICU will be to cut off more pediatric wards. And the pediatric ward is already under stress. So it's not only about equipment. Equipment may create 1 or 2 spaces. It's about a well-designed neonatal intensive care unit. Operationally. You know, when you come to a unit, you are supposed to be triaged. You go through certain operational processes before you even end up in the incubator, before you end up on the ward. And that is the design that we need to put together if you want to get things right.
Doc, do we have an idea, before I open the phone lines, do we have any idea what the cost will be to put something like this together?
I have no idea what the cost will be, but I can get experts to put together a cost of what we have designed, and I can share with you in due time.
So
that's a doctor there speaking to my colleague Daniel Dazi. Dr. Charlene Kilba is from the Pediatric Society of Ghana. She's joining me in a Zoom so we can have a Zoom conversation over this very worrying story. Dr. Charlene, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Me too.
I am sure that this is a familiar story. Like I said, a few years back, we did a similar story at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Today, we're looking at a similar situation at the Cape Coast Hospital. How widespread would you say this is as people who deal with children like yourself?
Well, you're right. It's not just Konfanochi or Kolibu or just bigger hospitals. It's a widespread problem across the length and breadth of our country that we need to tackle holistically. If we are only tackling it from the top, the congestion will continue at the top. It needs to be tackled holistically.
When you talk about tackling it holistically, we need you to break it down for us a little bit. For example, where do we start from?
Well, the good thing is that we do not operate in a vacuum. Okay, we have a health system, the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service. And the Ghana Health Service has standards of care for newborns, okay, that are published. These are public documents that are supposed to guide how we equip and run our hospitals at various levels, what is expected of a community health center, what is expected of a district hospital, a regional hospital, tertiary hospitals. And so these guidelines are well laid. The challenge now is implementing them, because if we strengthen the system right from the bottom up, it will ease the pressure at the top, because some of the referrals will be dealt with earlier. The children won't be as sicker, may not need to travel long distances to access care, and that would help in the long run ease everyone's stress and improve outcomes for our newborns and for parents.
You talk about standards of care, and this is a published document, etc. But you may have standards of care. You may have how you're supposed to operate, but without the equipment, how do you do that kind of work?
Exactly. So it's not that we do not know what to do. We have already, as a country, decided what we think is best for our newborns and for our children. In fact, our health system generally. We need to put our words into action, because talking and writing papers doesn't change it. We need to all shoulders, all hands on deck, all shoulders to the wheel. We need to change the system, and something needs to happen. Something dramatic needs to happen. Our steps are too tiny, too scattered. It needs to become a coordinated and a bigger effort to move things in the right direction. And the challenges are on all levels. You've just seen Cape Coast Teaching Hospital complaining about space. Now, in that little space, what happens? There's overcrowding, there's poor monitoring, poorer outcomes, more stressful for mothers. There's no space to even sit by your baby. It's difficult to see what is happening with your baby. It's stressful for everyone, for healthcare workers, for parents, for the society to see this. So I think that we all need to come on board. Government alone may not be able to help us achieve those standards of care that we have beautifully outlined. We would need private sector coming in to support in every region to help deal with the situation.
Private sector help. How, in what form should that help be? Or in what form will that help be as helpful as needed?
Well, we're talking about infrastructure challenges. We have lots of construction companies. I mean, you could decide as your contribution to society as a construction firm to put up the building, brick and mortar. Another group may decide that we sell tiles. I don't want to mention specific companies and put them on the spot, but we sell tiles, we do sinks and baths and things. We will put in those fittings for you. There are paint distributors, paint manufacturing companies can offer to paint it. Without giving physical cash to the hospital, we will have structures in place. And then we can contribute towards buying equipment. Government supports by training and employing the appropriate staff. And staffing is another challenge that would have to be dealt with. I mean, so each member of society can contribute. The Pediatric Society is currently on the back of our Jaundice Month of May, running a fundraiser to try to buy some phototherapy equipment so that at least each region has a high intensity phototherapy unit. Now, people have responded beautifully. People are contributing 1 CD, 10 CDs, 5 CDs. Some are contributing in the hundreds, a few in the thousands. But for somebody to listen to our campaign and send in 1 CD tells you that the average Ghanaian appreciates that they can also contribute in some way to help save our newborns.
You are a pediatrician yourself.
Yes.
Let's share a bit of personalized stories from these challenges that you have seen, that you have come face to face with. Maybe that will help these people you are appealing to understand the situation, appreciate it a bit more.
Okay, so with regard to newborns, we are still having a lot of challenges that lead to delayed presentation. I work at a referral hospital where I'm lucky enough to have good infrastructure to work with, okay? But the challenge is that everyone is then referring to us there. And we have the same problems of overcrowding, even in units that if you looked on its own, should be adequate for our hospital.
Right.
But everyone is sending babies to us, even from outskirts of Accra. And sometimes the delay in the processes of referral means that a baby comes to you very sick with poorer outcomes. So let me say a premature baby born somewhere in the outskirts, having to be transferred without being kept warm, comes in very cold, poor breathing. Mm-hmm. By then, the battle is lost already. You may try what you can, but chances of survival for that baby is poor. If a baby has jaundice and goes to a center where there's no phototherapy, the blue lights we use to treat these babies, and for lack of phototherapy units, the mother is asked to sunbathe, and she does that diligently, and this doesn't work, and baby comes back and has suffered complications or is severely jaundiced, and now we have to go through the process of trying to exchange that baby's blood to limit the brain damage. And in some cases, it's unsuccessful, baby dies, or baby suffers irreversible neurological damage. And every day we are having to counsel mothers on these poor outcomes. We are sorry that this is not likely to end well. We are sorry that we cannot help you do this. And it can be very, very draining, emotionally, physically, everything.
I'm not sure if what I feel in your voice is actually a little bit of grief hiding there. Do you have personal stories that, something that happened, to you? I know what you've shared is personal, but it's still a bit general. Do you have personal stories that you are comfortable to share?
Well, the stories are everyday happenings. I don't know. I don't want to pick out a particular parent's story. I have been fortunate enough not to have to be at the receiving end as a patient or as a mother whose baby is ill. But I have had colleagues whose babies have been unwell, and it's a struggle to find a space for that child or an institution that can support the breathing of that child. And you can imagine how stressful it is to have a colleague's baby struggling to breathe in front of you and you cannot help.
I can totally understand that. Perhaps I can only imagine the details. Let's wrap this up by you giving us your thoughts on how doctors like yourself can manage in this situation while we wait for the philanthropists to step in, maybe for government to do what they have to do. What can doctors do? I mean, is there any advice, anything?
We have been managing for years now. And the managing is not achieving what we wanted to. And that is why we are typically not on radio, not on TV. We are stuck in the ERs, on the wards, in the consulting rooms, but our managing is not achieving desired results. We need to come out and speak about it. I know my colleagues go, even the extra mile is an underestimation, trying to piece together pieces of equipment, trying to make things work. We have been managing. I don't think I need to advise them on how to manage. We have become, I don't even know how to explain it, but we are managing. That is not where the challenge is. The challenge is not because we are not doing our best to manage. The challenge is that we are managing to the best of our ability. It is just not enough. We cannot magically keep all the babies warm. We cannot magically monitor all the babies. You have 20 babies, no monitors. You cannot be seeing the baby's heart rate as you eyeball the baby. By when something is happening, it might be too late, by when your eyes can see. We need equipment to help us to lift the standard of care from where it is now to where we all want it to be. And that is what we as doctors, as pediatricians, as Pediatric Society is advocating for. The managing is not enough.
Managing is not enough. Dr. Kilba, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And we hope that people who ought to hear are listening and they will take action. Dr. Charlene Kilba there, she's with the Pediatric Society of Ghana.